Another new day for us to take advantage of the day and make right what was wrong yesterday, and also look for opportunities to shine a light so brightly that everyone can see. Whether it's darkness, shine your light. I'm Blessing Eichie. I welcome you to the front burners. What do we burn here? Critical issues. Why do we burn them? We do so because we want things to get better. And I'm sure you belong to that class of people who intends to make things better. Oyinpreye Krumale and my current co is here this morning. We're all set to treat you to a wonderful time on the show. Hello, Priya. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Blessing. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great.
Good morning to you, Lagos. Good morning to you, Nigerians. It's another wonderful time here again in your presence. Blessing, I said it all.
All right, so I'll take you through the rundown of the show. The first is something you don't want to miss. That's one beautiful lady giving you the news in a way that you don't even feel like it's news, but yes, you're getting informed. And after that, we come to analyze some stories that were able to make it into the news. You know, there are different stories, but what are those very interesting ones, those very important ones that you need to just know, understand what the story is about? And then we'll get on to policy discuss, where we'll treat critical political policy matters and look at the impact of the policies. Of course, you get to speak, and that's on post and perspectives. There is sports for those who know how to play football, lawn tennis, table tennis, whatever kind of sport. All these you'll enjoy in the course of the show. I ask that you stay with us the entire time. Time now to take another look at some of the stories that have made headlines, and we'll begin with the story. This says the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, warns against fraud in Nigeria's capital markets and also stricter measures to protect investors. Oh yes, this would not be the first time that SEC in recent times has warned against fraudsters, fraudulent schemes, and even companies that SEC says are not listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. They do not trade, and have warned Nigerians to be wary of such investment schemes, such investment companies, and they say they've imposed, they've announced stricter measures to ensure that it is not easy for any company to defraud people using the Nigerian capital market. And so, according to the Director General of SEC, Emomotimi Agama, he said that operators engaging in unscrupulous practices will face strict penalties as the Commission prioritizes safeguarding investors' interests. So, where he cited the Investment and Securities Act 2007, which serves as a framework for securities regulation in Nigeria to ensure that market operators adhere to high ethical standards. It's becoming worrisome when, you know, there are different investment schemes, and some of them are legitimate, some of them are fraudulent. You have Ponzi scheme, but when it seems like the capital market now is where fraudsters try to go to or try to carry out their practices, then it becomes very worrisome, the level at which fraud is getting to.
Okay, so when this warning came out, one of the questions I asked myself was that, well, so is it possible for fraudsters to, commit, the fraudulent act in the Securities Exchange Commission, in the capital market? And since the SEC has been charged and saddled with the responsibility to make sure that the capital market is clean and pure, so I was wondering if, let's assume, before SEC will come out with this,
yes,
there must have been some instances where they might have seen the games, the antics, the maneuverings of these fraudsters who, might have come into the system, some of the schemes they might have been pulling on people. And the Securities and Exchange Commission must have received some form of warning, or there will be some alarm systems that must have been set in place by the Commission to make sure that such fraudulent act is not perpetrated in the system. Because if this is not taken care of, or if some heads do not roll, if they don't make a public statement of some persons who are trying to carry out those schemes, investment confidence might or will be destroyed. Foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, and some of these investors that Nigeria is trying to, Ghana from abroad to come and invest their funds in the country, if they begin to see traces of, perpetration of fraudulent act in the Nigerian capital market, it's going to be a turn-off for investors who might want to come put up their money. But at the same time, I equally want to say those who perpetrate this act of investment in the Nigerian capital market, as formidable as it is, I wonder what kind of mind, what kind of maneuvering they set in place. How would they want to perpetrate such acts? Is it by what they normally call speculations, or by what means exactly are they going to deploy?
Okay.
How would they going to set in motion?
The SEC is actually carrying out such awareness campaign, trying to warn people. Even in 2022, there was a list of companies that were unregistered with SEC that they released to say these companies are not registered with SEC. They do not. They are not listed on the capital markets, and so whatever investment schemes that they're running, you do patronize them at your own risk. So if you ask how they're going to carry it out, we have investment companies, and they are supposed to be brokers, or they're supposed to have brokers who trade stock for people. They're supposed to also be able to offer investment advice. And, for a different investment portfolio, they should be able to guide to say, okay, let's divest. You want to invest in this particular stock, in this and in that. So they are able to actually guide your investment and take care of your investment for you. Some persons have shares. Some persons have bought shares in companies that they didn't do that by themselves. They went through a broker who perhaps is affiliated or works with an investment firm. And to give themselves some form of credibility, they tell customers that they're registered with SEC. So you become relaxed when an investment firm tells you that they are registered with SEC, and so they can carry out transactions on your behalf in terms of transactions like buying shares and all of that. But when SEC turns out lists like this, it helps people know that, first of all, there was some dishonesty here. They were not registered, but they claimed to be registered. And so if you have to invest with them, you're doing so at your own risk. So since they're not registered with SEC, the chances that whatever investment they do for you actually happens, maybe you give money to buy shares, chances that those shares were actually bought is very, very slim. And even when they do buy shares, it may not be your money's worth, And so the trading advice or the financial advice you're expecting that they would give is not what you can rely on. Even recently, when SEC actually still released the list of some companies that were not registered with them, some of them were investment firms who were into real estate investment, stock, and some other investments. You will still find the offices of these firms operational, still existing, with people still going over there to patronize them or to consult them, because not everyone reads, not everyone listens to the news, not everyone is even aware of SEC. So do they even know what SEC is saying or what SEC is doing? So I think that SEC needs to do a lot more in terms of sensitization, creating the awareness in people that before you consult a broker, before you consult an investment firm, before you buy shares, no matter who's telling you that so-and-so company has been listed, you're buying shares, you have to invest in them. Be sure to do your due diligence. Don't just rely on information a broker or investment firm is giving to you. Do your own due diligence to be sure that these firms are actually registered with SEC. And I think there should be a way to check when you go to SEC's website to check for companies registered with SEC so that you can actually do your own due diligence on your own. If a company has been listed, yes, SEC do actually release lists of companies that have been listed. So this company is listed, this is how much their shares are selling for, and so you are guided and not falling into the hands of fraudsters. In these days where we talk about multiple streams of income and some persons want to be passive investors, it's quite easy for people to fall prey to things like that.
Okay, so the thing is, first of all, what gave the wherewithal for these companies to exist could be that first of all they are registered with the company, the CAC.
The CAC, yes.
So if they are registered with the CAC, they have a right to operate. However, because SEC is not the regulatory body for companies that should fall under the companies that are listed to operate in the Nigerian in the Nigerian capital market, rather. So they now have to meet up a certain threshold, a certain standard and criteria for them to operate on that level. Now, if the thing is, if they don't meet up that standard, then they keep still operating under the power that they've collected by way of registration from the CAC. Now that keeps them in business. The thing is, what kind of business do they do at that particular point in time? That's another question that needs to be looked at. For the Securities and Exchange Commission, I don't really think sometimes it is because some perpetrators have actually started work. That's why they come out. They actually want to put, most of the time, communicate to potential investors both in and out of the country that, look, we are doing our bidding to make sure we are keeping the environment clean for investment and to make sure we secure your investments and your funds, and your confidence to come and invest in the crime in Nigeria. However, those who are perpetrating this crime, some of the times, probably there will be a need for even the registration they had with the CAC to be withdrawn. So you are registered with the CAC to operate and you are operating. Now the SEC equally has a threshold for you to meet before you are listed in the capital market and you have not been listed. Then you go about trying to act as an agent to get money from people to invest on their behalf, and doing that, you could be that you are shortchanging the people because you are not operating in the threshold and in the standard that SEC has set up. In that particular case, SEC should be in collaboration with the CAC. That XYZ company.
They should be like flagging companies like that.
Straight. And immediately you're flagged once. Probably it's a warning. You're flagged. The other time, in fact, CAC should withdraw the license from you from operation. That equally takes you out of the business terrain of Nigeria. And if that is going to happen, I think probably organizations are going to sit upright. The second thing is that now, as we speak, people don't not only need to go through stockbrokers again before. Because of technology, there are different apps. Now, that's where another risk comes in for the investment. If you don't need to go through some of these brokers and you need to go through the apps, do SEC, do they have this technology and infrastructure to regulate the operation of these apps?
Well, I feel like it has to be a process first. You're registered. So as a registered company, because companies are operating digitally, so as a registered company, you can have a website. You can now have a dedicated app where your clients can carry out businesses or transactions seamlessly without necessarily having to come to your physical office. But apart from trading stocks, because companies too, some companies are soliciting funds from the public as way of investment, like real estate companies asking people to invest. So they do more like crowdfunding. People invest in the business and then they use the money to maybe start up a real estate project. By the time they complete, so the profit from it is what they begin to give, to send to those who have invested. But what SEC is also saying, that according to the Investment and Securities Act 2007, it is unlawful for any private enterprise, whether incorporated as a company or not, to solicit funds from the public by whatever means to fund its private ventures that is in contravention of the Investment and Securities Act. But we see these things happen. We see it happen. It's become almost like a new strategy for companies to raise funds. But what SEC is saying is that it is unlawful for any private enterprise to solicit funds from the public by whatever means. Now, even if you have to solicit funds, there are ways you do it legitimately. And that's why you have companies that are listed on the stock exchange. So people buy shares. That's their own way of raising funds. So if you're not listed, you cannot be doing that. You have different ways companies do that. We have some companies have initial public openings, So, but if you are not listed to trade as such, then whatever way you are now carrying out such activity that is only permitted for those who are listed is a contravention of the Securities and Investment Act.
Yes. In fact, I even think that if you're not listed, you can't even go there because you will be seen. And immediately you are seen, you'll be apprehended. So
and that's why you're warning and listing out companies who would claim that they are listed or would act like they're listed and solicit funds from the public for their own private ventures. So that's why SEC comes out to warn people like, beware of such firms, beware of such companies, know where you're putting your money into.
If I'm to make, or just to probably divert a little, recently the government came out and, if not the CBN, and they were telling us about some Ponzi schemes, organizations that have been...
The EFCC.
EFCC, they run into 50, if not more.
58.
58 of those organizations that were banned. Now, if the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission hadn't pulled out that press release, or that article, that excerpt out, no one would have been aware. However, in fact, before then, I'm sure they've been operating. So apart from the Ponzi scheme kind of work, what else do they do? Yes, because
it's all Ponzi masqueraded in different type of businesses. Yes.
So some of them, when I was going through the list and I looked at some of the names, they wrote agro-allied.
Yes.
You could see companies
that
are into agriculture.
It's very easy for you to get contributions from people because it's believable. You know, somebody tells you, I own a big farm or we own big farms and we want to go into large-scale production of cassava, for instance. So we're buying more land, buying more hectares of land. We need to pay for labor, and this is the planting season. So within this period of time, if you invest, when we are done with the sales, the profits will share. So people will say, okay, fine, I don't necessarily need to own a land to become a farmer.
Yes.
So let me just do this. You put in some amount of money, and they tell you there are categories of persons. It depends on how much investment you want to make. They may even take you to an actual farm and show you and tell you, this is their farm. They may take you to a processing area, agro-processing area, and tell you we are not just only involved in the production, but we also process. So people believe this and put in money. That's why you have some agro-allied businesses involved in that scheme. But at the end of the day, it's all scam. There is no farm anywhere. They're not growing any crop. They're not processing any food crop. They're not doing anything. They just get money from people. It could even be farmers. They could tell them, oh, you can't do this by yourself. Let's help you expand. So there's a way you get into the scheme. There are different ways that they make people or they catch people. So it's all Ponzi, but Ponzi that comes in different form.
Okay, I know genuine farmers who went through this particular stage you just mentioned, that they tell you this is planting season. We're going to harvest this XY. We're planning XY number of crops in cassava. We're doing this in yam. We're doing this. And they name all those sort of cash crops. Some of them span within the 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. Some of them 1 year, 9 months, for which they are going to have harvest. And they are telling you, you can come and invest in my company. And they are legitimate farmers. They own farms. I know these people, and you can come and invest. Some of them they'll tell you they are into catfish.
Yes.
And they're telling you XYZ season we are going to, and they're telling you can bring in 500,000 naira, 700,000 naira, and there's a form of percentage that they give their calculations for which you are going to get when they've actually harvested the fishes and the crops and they've taken it to the market, because they already have buyers, they have suppliers both in industry and those who are in the market space. And when they do that, they refund your money. Maybe you invested 500,000 naira, and they're telling you after the harvest and the sales, you should be getting 570 or 600,000 naira. And of course, you want to do that if it's going to come within the space of 6 months, 3 months, or 9 months, because that's a good investment, and it depends on the amount of money you put in. I know of people, genuine farmers, who behave that way, but others also. I've seen others. I heard for people who fell victim of these specific schemes. And when they fell victim, it's the same story they were told. So now this, is now bringing bad business for those who are genuinely in the business. And I think if we're to, I deviated a little because I just wanted to use it to look through that lens within the Nigerian capital market, for which the Nigerian the Nigerian Securities
Securities and
Exchange Commission is crying foul this season. There should be institutional collaboration. The Securities Commission, the EFCC, and including the CAC. So it's not enough to just delist, because sometimes they even delist companies who had already been listed because they committed some form of financial infractions because they are not operating according to the code and the standard. When you're delisted, in fact, you should be out of for a while, for a long time, because if the deterrence measures, if they are not strong enough, people are going to continue to breach it, and they will consider the space somewhat unregulated. And when they do that, it's not only going to be bad for those who are genuinely in the system, but it's going to send a bad signal outside to those who are potential investors who may be, taking a look at coming in to come and invest in it.
All right, but overall, the capital markets has been doing well, even though there are times when trading may not be quite favorable to some companies. Companies losing, maybe having some reduction in the price of the shares, and when investors take out profits, sometimes the market just goes down. But overall, the Nigerian capital market has been performing very well, and it has increased. The capitalization of the market has also increased from what it used to be now to over 100 trillion. So that's some growth.
That's a huge sum.
Yes, and the health of the market gets better by the day. So I think SEC is also doing a great work by ensuring that the market is well regulated. So checking how companies come in, those who want to defraud people, acting as though that they are actually have the permission or the license to operate in carry out certain transactions. So it's a good one, because you also mentioned foreign investors. So if SEC does not do their own bit, it means that for foreign investors, that confidence will not be there. You really can't know who to trust, what companies to trust, apart from the already existing ones, or the very big ones. So that may also take away the chance of gaining investors for the firms that are just coming on. So it's a good thing that from time to time, SEC comes up to warn, and they're imposing stricter measures to ensure that it is difficult for those who have the intention of defrauding people to get into the system. I also want to advise investors, local and foreign investors, that ensure that you also do your due diligence. It is not enough to have a firm that is carrying out investment for you. It is not enough to have a broker. Do your own due diligence to ensure you're dealing with the right people.